You know that feeling, that dull ache, that sharp pain, that throbbing behind your eyes? We've all been there. But what if your headache is actually trying to tell you something? Like it's a message from your body, a clue in a medical mystery. Well, today, we're going to decode one of those messages. Let's see if we can crack the case together.
So our whole mystery kicks off with this single clue: constant pressure. I mean, so many of us know exactly what that feels like, but it's also so vague, right? What could it possibly mean? This is our starting point, our one central clue. So, let's dig in.
All right, here's our case file. The patient feels this pressure on both sides of their head. That's a key detail. But here's the twist. They can still function. They can go about their day. They're not completely knocked out by the pain. Now that is a crucial piece of evidence. So let's put on our detective hats and start sifting through the clues.
Okay, so every good mystery needs its suspects, right? And in our case, we're looking at the three most wanted culprits in the world of headaches. We've got the migraine, the cluster headache, and the tension headache. Each one has its own unique MO. Let's get to know them.
So each of our suspects has a very distinct personality. You've got the migraine, that's the throbbing, pulsing villain. Then there's the cluster headache, which is this excruciatingly sharp and intense character. And the tension headache, well, that's the dull, tight, persistent one. Now, our patient's clue, that constant pressure, it's already pointing us down a certain path, but we can't jump to conclusions. We need more evidence.
It's time for the lineup. We're about to put our suspects under the microscope. We're going to compare their profiles directly to the evidence from our patient. Let's see which one cracks under the pressure.
This chart right here, this is our evidence board. It's got everything we need. We're looking at location, the character of the pain, how long it lasts, and any other symptoms that come along for the ride. So let's start comparing our patient's case against this board and see who we can eliminate.
Okay, first clue, location. Our patient feels pain on both sides of their head, kind of like a tightening band. But a classic migraine, that usually attacks just one side of the head. That's a huge inconsistency, so I think it's safe to say we can cross the migraine off our list of suspects.
Now for suspect number 2, the cluster headache. Remember, our patient's pain is a dull, tight pressure. A cluster headache is a totally different beast. It's an excruciating, sharp, relentless pain. Honestly, it's like comparing a leaky faucet to a fire hose. The evidence just doesn't add up. We can confidently say our patient is not dealing with a cluster headache. So what about other symptoms? You know, the sidekicks. Migraines often bring along accomplices like nausea or sensitivity to light. Cluster headaches can cause stuff like one-sided sweating or a stuffy nose. But our patient? Nope, none of the above. This lack of accomplices is basically a smoking gun, clearing both migraines and cluster headaches for sure.
Well, with our other suspects eliminated, we've only got one left standing. And honestly, the evidence is overwhelming. The location, the character of the pain, the lack of other symptoms, it's all pointing to one culprit, the tension-type headache.
So let's take a closer look at our culprit's profile. A tension-type headache, or TTH for short, is a perfect match. It's bilateral, it feels tight, it's pressure-like. And see that last detail, muscle tenderness in the head and neck? That's the final piece of the puzzle just falling right into place. Let's just review the evidence one last time. The location being on both sides? Check. That constant pressure feeling? Check. The fact that there are no other major symptoms? Check. And the trigger? Stress. It's a textbook case of a tension-type headache. Case closed.
So we've cracked the case, but our work isn't done just yet. Now that we've identified the culprit, we've got to talk about what's next. We need to talk about managing the pressure. So what do you do about a tension-type headache?
For those occasional tension headaches, the kind you get every now and then, the solution is often pretty simple. Over-the-counter pain relievers like acetaminophen, ibuprofen, or aspirin can really do the trick. And here's a little pro tip. A bit of caffeine can actually boost their effectiveness by helping your body absorb the medicine faster.
Okay, so that works for the occasional headache. But what if they're happening all the time? What if they're really starting to get in the way of your life? Well, when the problem becomes more persistent, the approach really needs to change. When tension headaches become a chronic issue, the strategy totally shifts. Doctors often recommend a two-pronged attack. First, you've got preventative medication to try and stop the headaches before they even start. And second, and you could argue this is even more important, is tackling the root cause, which is often stress. Techniques like biofeedback and cognitive behavioral therapy can be incredibly powerful tools in your arsenal. So, what's the one big takeaway from all this? What's the single most important clue we've uncovered today? It's this. Knowledge is power. You can't fight an enemy you don't understand. Identifying your headache type is the key that unlocks the right path to relief. It's the first and most crucial step in taking back control.
And that brings us to our final question. We've decoded one patient's headache, sure, but the real takeaway here is for you. The next time you feel that familiar ache or pressure, just pause for a moment. Pay attention to the clues. Knowing the difference is so powerful. So, what is your headache telling you?